Welcome to the Moon and Gemini podcast. I am your witch in residence, April Edwards. This is our astrology of the week for June 8th to June 14th. This week is emotionally full. Cancer is heavily activated, and when Cancer is emphasized, we are not dealing with detached ideas. We are dealing with memory, attachment, belonging, safety, the body's old knowing of what protects us and what does not. But this week does not remain soft. There is sweetness here. There is pressure. There is disruption. There is a retrograde station. And by the end of the week, Venus leaves the waters of Cancer and enters Leo, shifting the heart from protection into visibility. This is a week of emotional truth, becoming impossible to keep private. Let's walk through it together. June 9th. We begin with one of the most beautiful conjunctions in astrology. Venus meets Jupiter in Cancer. Venus is love, pleasure, beauty, value, friendship, and what we draw towards us. In Cancer, this expansion happens through the emotional body, through care, through memory, through home, family, lineage, and the places where we feel held. This can bring emotional generosity, a desire to nurture, a longing for closeness, a moment where the heart feels larger than usual. There may be warmth in relationships. There may be support offered and received. There may be a renewed desire to protect what matters. But Cancer is not just sentimental. Cancer remembers. So under this conjunction, sweetness may arrive with history attached. You may feel gratitude for what has sustained you. You may also become aware of where you are still hungry for that kind of care you did not receive. Venus and Jupiter together can bless, but they can also amplify longing. So notice what expands. Is it love? Is it grief? Is it attachment? Is it the need to feel safe enough to open? This is a day to receive what is nourishing without turning nourishment into dependency. Let tenderness be real, but do not let it become a substitute for truth. June 10th. The next day, the tone shifts. Mercury in Cancer squares Saturn in Aries. Mercury in Cancer speaks from feeling. Saturn in Aries demands responsibility, directness, and maturity around action. When these two square, communication can feel blocked, heavy, or defensive. You may want to say something vulnerable but feel restricted. You may hear something that lands harshly even if it was not intended that way. You may become aware of the difference between emotional truth and emotional reaction. This is a transit that asks us to speak carefully, not cautiously in the sense of hiding, carefully in the sense of responsibility. Cancer wants to protect. Aries wants to assert. Saturn asks whether what is being said can withstand consequence. So the question becomes, can I tell the truth without using vulnerability as a weapon? Can I hold a boundary without becoming cruel? Can I name what hurts without abandoning my own authority? This is not an easy communication day, but it can be clarifying. Saturn does not soften Mercury. It makes Mercury accountable. June 12th is the most charged day of the week. First, the North Node squares Uranus in Gemini. The North Node represents direction, growth, and the path that pulls us beyond familiar patterns. Uranus represents disruption, awakening, rupture, and liberation. In Gemini, Uranus is electrifying the mental field. Language changes. Information moves quickly. Ideas mutate, narratives fracture. When the North Node squares Uranus, the future interrupts the expected path. This can feel destabilizing. A conversation, a piece of information, or sudden realization may alter your sense of where things are going. This is not necessarily a comfortable transit. Squares rarely are, but it can be liberating. The difficulty is that Uranus does not give us gradual transitions. It breaks patterns quickly when they have become too rigid. The North Node asks us to grow. Uranus asks us to wake up. Together, they create a moment where staying asleep becomes more uncomfortable than changing. Pay attention to what disrupts your assumptions. Not everything unexpected is a problem. Some disruptions are corrections. Second, Mercury stations retrograde in Cancer. When a planet stations, it becomes loud. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is not only about missed messages or delayed plans, it is about emotional memory returning. Family conversations may resurface, old attachments may reappear. Patterns around care, protection, silence, and belonging may ask to be reviewed. Cancer holds the past in the body. So when Mercury retrogrades here, the mind does not simply go backwards. It goes home, back to the origin point, back to the room where something was first learned, back to the emotional script that still shapes how you communicate when you feel unsafe. This retrograde asks, where did you learn to protect yourself this way? What story about belonging are you still repeating? What conversation are you finally ready to understand differently? This is not a retrograde for forcing closure. It is a retrograde for listening to what returns. This past is not always asking to be revived. Sometimes it returns so it can be released with more honesty. June 13th. Venus in Cancer squares Chiron in Aries. This is tender. Venus in Cancer wants closeness, care, and emotional safety. Chiron in Aries reveals wounds around identity, self-assertion, and the right to exist without apology. When these two square, old relational wounds can become active. You may feel sensitive around whether you are wanted, whether you are chosen, whether your needs are too much, or whether caring for others has required you to abandon your own will. This aspect can expose the place where love and selfhood have become entangled, where you learned that being loved meant being less direct, or less independent, or less fully yourself. Chiron does not surface pain to punish us. It reveals what still influences behavior beneath the surface. This is a day to notice the wound without letting it drive the action. If something hurts, pause. Ask whether the present moment is truly causing the pain or whether it is touching something older. That distinction matters. On the same day, Venus leaves Cancer and enters Leo. The heart changes posture. Venus in Cancer protects love. Venus in Leo expresses it. This is a shift from emotional safety into visibility, from holding close to shining outward. Venus in Leo wants warmth, affection, celebration, devotion, and recognition. It asks, where does love need to be seen? Where has desire been hidden for too long? Where does the heart want to create, perform, risk, or be witnessed? After the tenderness and vulnerability of Cancer, Venus in Leo brings fire back into the relational field. But this is not shallow attention-seeking when expressed well. At its best, Venus in Leo reminds us that love requires generosity, that beauty is meant to be shared, that desire should not always be hidden for safety. Sometimes the heart needs an audience, not for validation, but for expression. This week begins with emotional expansion. Venus and Jupiter in Cancer open the heart. When Mercury squares Saturn and asks us to speak with maturity. By the 12th, the week reaches a turning point. The North Node squares Uranus, disrupting the expected path. Mercury stations retrograde and pulls the mind back into emotional memory. Venus square Chiron touches the wound around love and selfhood. And then Venus enters Leo, asking the heart to emerge from protection into visibility. The pattern is clear. Nourishment, pressure, disruption, memory, exposure, expression. This is not a simple week, but it is one that is important. Something tender is being revealed, Something old is being reviewed. Something future-facing is breaking through. Early in the week, let yourself notice what feels nourishing. Not just pleasant, nourishing. There is a difference. On June 10th, choose your words carefully. Let honesty mature before it leaves your mouth. On the 12th, do not rush to interpret disruption. Let the shock settle. Let the memory return. Let the wound reveal its shape without handing it the steering wheel. And as Venus enters Leo, let the heart remember that protection is not meant to become permanent hiding. What is loved may also need to be seen. This week asks for emotional courage, not the loud kind, the quieter kind. The courage to remember clearly, the courage to speak responsibly, the courage to let an old wound be touched without becoming it, and the courage to let the heart step back into the light. Cancer teaches us what must be protected. Leo teaches us what must be expressed. This week asks us to honor both. This work grows through word of mouth. If it's been meaningful to you, you can like, share, or subscribe. That's how it reaches the ones who need it.